Alrighty, welcome back to another video. We're just gonna get right into it. I tried this already. This is how it usually goes. I'll try it and I'll end up stumbling on my words or losing track of what I'm talking about and go off on whatever, and then I'll not remember where I was, and I'm like sitting here trying to remember where I was. That's how all of these usually go. These are not one take. These are like multiple takes. So this is the second one. Hopefully this is the only take, the last take. So yeah, let's get right into it. So I figured I'll go in order from how everything's kind of been going with the videos. Start off with my life and everything and healing, and now my life after Jehovah's Witnesses, and pretty much just how has life been after leaving Jehovah's Witnesses. And the point of this, well, to relate, obviously, to everyone who has left and what they've been going through, to relate, and people who are physically in, mentally out, who are, for whatever reason, cannot leave because of either family members or congregation members or anything like that. Now I'm getting distracted when messages pop up. I wish there was a way. Well, there is. It's called Do Not Disturb. I should just turn that on. But they still might pop up and show up there, just not make my phone vibrate. But because that just distracted me. But anyways, yeah, for people who are physically and mentally out, who are wondering like what would it be like if I did leave? Because there's so many reasons why you could be physically in and mentally out. Like why you're still physically going to the meetings and going in service. Well, I don't know about service anymore. I don't know how that works now with the whole pandemic thing going on. Yeah, but like going to the meetings and all that stuff, there's so many reasons why people can't leave right away. And if you're just wondering what it's like to not be a Jehovah's Witness, then here's my perspective, and here's my personal experiences in life on how it's been. And it's been a lot of different things. It's been very hard in the beginning, in the early stages. It was very hard. There was a lot of self-discovery in the process. There's been a lot of just more and more epiphanies, like coming to realize things and stuff like there's been a lot. There's been a whole lot. And the ultimate question, has it been good or bad? It's been both. It was bad in the beginning, and it's been good since the past 2 years, I'd say. So I've been out for a little over 4 years. I left back in 2017. I mentally checked out in August and physically left in October of 2018. And yeah, it's been quite the adventure since. And yeah, it's been crazy. But yeah, so let's get right into it. So what I started talking about when I started filming this before was the fact that, so the individuality thing, I was going heavy into that. So I'll start there, because one of the first things I did was, when I left, is I'm not going to cut my hair. I've been growing it since 2017, because I personally have just never liked having short hair. Just even as a kid, I did not like having short hair. I remember always hating getting haircuts because I wanted it to grow. That's just how I was. And if you don't know, if you're not a Jehovah's Witness, or never were a Jehovah's Witness, or don't know anything much about Jehovah's Witnesses, you can't, if you're a man, you can't have long hair. If you're a man, you also can't have a beard. You can't grow your facial, but for whatever reason, you can have a mustache. You can grow the hair on your upper lip, but here is off limits. Doesn't make any sense, obviously, but so yeah, you were not allowed to have long hair as a man. Why? They have a few reasonings for that. One is it's associated with hippie culture and music culture, more specifically metal music, and it looks, another one being it looks unclean and unkept and gross, and you want to look presentable. And pretty much it's all based on building an image. You have to look a certain way. You can't look like, God forbid you have somebody assume that you're a metalhead, or God forbid you have somebody assume that you're a hippie, or God forbid you have somebody assume that you don't take care of yourself as a man because you have long hair, which never made sense to me, because it's like, why, what's the importance of focusing so much on an image rather than self-expression? What is that? There's no sound reasoning for that, because you shouldn't, as it is, it's not healthy to be so concerned what other people think about you and how you look. You shouldn't, if people want to think I'm a dirty hippie, then go ahead. If people want to think I'm a metalhead, which I am, sorry, I'll give the Jehovah's Witnesses that. I do live up to that stereotype. I'm a metalhead. But if you want to think I'm a metalhead, then, and you think that's a bad thing, then so be it. You shouldn't have to be accepted by everybody. And if people in the congregation want to think what they want to think, then go ahead. What anybody thinks about you shouldn't matter in the first place. So, and I'm putting so much emphasis on that, because that is something that is heavily enforced and heavily micromanaged. Like, as a man, like, you start to get a bit of stubble on your face, like, that's too much. Even you can't have like a little 5 o'clock shadow going on, like, that's too much. I remember, like, I tried to push it as far as I could go with having long hair. Like, the longest I had it was like probably here. The longest I ever probably had it was like there, like covering my ears, and it would be like, if I were to pull it down, the longest it would come is like there. And all of that was too much as it is. My parents didn't like it. People in the congregation didn't like it. Facial hair, I've just never been able to grow some decent facial hair. I can grow a mustache like nobody's business. I've been able to grow a mustache since 5th grade for whatever reason. But a freaking beard, it grows like here. I have a neck beard, and like it's finally starting to fill in more in the cheeks. And I'm like, man, how come all my friends can grow these dope ass beards, but me, it's like, no, you're gonna grow this weird thing on your face. So I just keep it shaved, because I don't want to look, I don't want to have a patchy beard, because there's like a space here, I don't have the good genes for that, I guess. But yeah, like, you as a Jehovah's Witness, as a man, you can't have a beard. And you know how many, like, almost every single, I haven't met, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I haven't met a Jehovah's Witness man who didn't want to have a beard. Any chance they got to grow a beard, they would do it. When they go on vacation, they'll grow it out. When they're doing, when they go to other countries, because this is the weird part, in like certain countries as a man, you can have a beard, which, why, I think Spain is one of those places, correct me if I'm wrong. Spain is one of those places where you can have a beard, but for whatever reason in North America and any other place, that they don't allow beards. You're not allowed to have a beard. I don't understand how that works, but it's all image based. It's all based on image, how you look, how you present yourself. And in their eyes, it's a good thing because you're presenting yourself in a, this is how they see it. You're presenting yourself in a way that looks clean and presentable. That's always what they've said about it. You have to look clean and presentable. That being, you can't have any facial hair as a man. You can't have long hair as a man. Because, like I said, with the whole long hair thing and associated with hippie culture and metal music and this and that and yada, yada, yada. And which, in my opinion, shouldn't matter. What should matter is people are able to individually express themselves rather than all have to conform and all look the same. I can't tell you how many times. First off, every Bethelite looks the same. They all have the same haircut and they all wear the same clothes. I remember, like I said in my previous videos, I've been to Bethel so many times because I live, even when Wallkill Bethel was the world headquarters, I used to go there all the time because there were so many Bethelites in my congregation. So I had a lot of Bethelite friends in the congregation. And we would go to Bethel all the time. And I can't tell you how many khakis and flannel shirts I've seen. That is like the wombo combo outfit of a Bethelite. Got my khakis and my and my flannel shirt. I'm being stupid, but not that there's anything wrong with wearing a flannel shirt and khakis or a flannel shirt and blue jeans, you know? There's nothing wrong with that. I still wear a flannel shirt and blue jeans, and sometimes I wear khakis, but you know, there's nothing wrong with it. But it's like when you walk into a Bethelite gathering, you know, you can't call it a party. A gathering, everyone's dancing and whatnot, listening to music, and every single Bethelite, every single dude has a flannel on. It's just funny because that you can't, you know, it's not that every single person ever just loves wearing, every single Jehovah's Witness just happens to love wearing flannels. It's just funny, like seeing that there's no individuality within there. Everyone's wearing the same thing. A lot of Converse too. I mean, I'm no fashion whatever. I'm so basic. I wear jeans and a t-shirt every day. But it's just funny. It's just funny seeing it because you can see that there's no individuality. Everyone has the same hairstyle. Everyone's the same. It's not just like with how you look. It's with how you talk and with how you think. Everyone talks the same way. Everyone thinks the same way because you have to. You know, you obviously can't curse if you're a Jehovah's Witness. You can't, I mean, and some people kind of stretch it. You can't say the more mild ones like hell and damn and ass. But some people will stretch it. They'll say damn. Or they'll say hell every now and then. It's like that's how you knew, like if you were somebody like me who liked to be around the more laid back people, the more people who didn't care as much as everybody else. When people would do things like that, it's like, okay, I know you're gonna be cool. I know you're not gonna be the type of person with a stick up your ass about every little thing. So, because there were those, trust me, there were those that had a stick up their ass, boy. Like, the moment you do something that's a little different from how you normally do things as a Jehovah's Witness, it's like, well, man, like, I don't really appreciate that. I don't really like that. But like, oh my God. So just the lack of individuality. Damn, we're 14 minutes in already. I feel like I haven't gotten anywhere. The lack of individuality. Why I'm talking about this, because I have long hair. And like I said, I never liked having long hair. I never liked having short hair as a kid. And that's just how I've always been. Maybe I was just always destined to be a metalhead. I don't know. But what do you call it? I just never liked having short hair. That's just how I was. Always hated getting haircuts. I just wanted it to grow. But so I've been growing it out ever since I left, which was back in 2017. Why that is such a important thing to me, why that is something as simple as just growing your hair out is so important to me, because it's an expression of individuality. It's an expression of you. How simply I want to be myself. Simply I want to have long hair. It's as simple as that. And in that way, it is a very simple form of self-expression of you. And the fact that you couldn't do little things like that, like have long hair, or maybe I want a beard, or maybe I want to style my beard a certain way, you know, stuff like that, gets rid of that individuality. But when you do it, you can say it's a small thing, but when you have one small thing mixed with another small thing, with another small thing, with another small thing, it amounts to one big thing. So like, for example, like you're a man, you can't have long hair, you can't wear earrings, you can't grow a beard, you can't wear certain kinds of clothes, like you can't wear clothes that are a bit more fitted, like you couldn't wear skinny jeans as a man. You can't, like there's so many little things you can't do. Like I said, all of those little things amounts to one big thing. So it's like when you slowly chip away at people's individuality, what are you left with? You're left with something you're told to be, something, you're left with a clone, because everybody, like I said, everybody looks the same. They all have the same hairstyles, they all dress the same, and it's all this one image, which is a clean cut image. And yeah, that's just how they roll. But along with that also comes language, how you speak. Like I was saying a little before, how you speak. You can't speak how you want to speak. As it is, it's just an echo chamber in the Jehovah's Witness organization of everybody saying the same things all the time, saying the same phrases all the time, using the same words all the time. And so that in itself goes along with what I've been saying, that lack of individuality, but it spreads into every aspect of every little piece of your life, and how you think. They're the thought police. You can't think certain ways. You can't have your own. Like your thoughts are micromanaged. How you speak is literally everything is micromanaged. The type of music you listen to is micromanaged. The type of entertainment you consume is micromanaged. And I will admit, they do have points when it comes to certain things, but overall, when it comes to individuality, you should be able to, no matter what. Just because they have points doesn't mean they're right. Let me just say that. But you should be able to, in a religion that talks so much about love, you should be able to express yourself without fear of judgment of others, because how you look, how you speak, how you think, all these things taken for base value shouldn't just because you automatically judge somebody upon looking at them even, that's your problem. That's not the person's problem for looking that way. That's your problem. And of course, obviously, we're all going to make a judgment on looking at someone when you first see someone, obviously. However, there's a difference between that and looking at someone, judging them, and simply not talking to them simply because of the way they look. Like, oh my God, that guy has long hair. Oh, I'm not going to talk to him. Like, stuff like that. Or, oh my God, that guy, he's got earrings. Oh my God, I'm not going to talk to him. Or his jeans, he's got them tight pants on. Not going to talk to him, buddy. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Like the judgment. It's the judgment. So, for example, so like I said, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I tried to keep my hair like as long as I possibly could without it being an issue, and that was like, so that was like here. I don't know if I said it before, because like I said, I made a video earlier and I was talking about all this stuff, and I'm redoing it now. So I had it like, that's probably a little too long. I had it like here, like above my ear, and I would pull it down here. The longest it would go was like here, and that was like pushing it. That was pushing it. It's like, whoa, man, your hair is a little too long. Like, that was pushing it. So, and I would get shit for that from my parents, from elders, stumbling people in the Kingdom Hall because, oh my God, his hair is on his forehead. Kill him. You know? And when I was really young, I'm talking really young, like when I first started to grow a little bit of facial hair, I had a few straggly little hairs. I was like, what, 12, 13 at the time. When I first, you know, when you're a kid, when you're a man and you were a kid and you were growing up, you started to get those little hairs growing in on your chin that look like thin, disgusting pubic hairs, but you're proud of it when you're a kid because you're like, yeah, I'm manly now. I'm growing up. I'm becoming a man. You know, you're proud of that and you're getting hyped about it. You couldn't even enjoy that as a kid. Like, so for me, I remember, man, so the two friends I mentioned in, I think it was my first video, they're disfellowshipped now, but their father was an elder, and he's always been a good guy too, by the way. Our family has been friends with their family for years, and he had always been a good guy. He's one of those elders that he really actually cares, and he really feels like what he's doing is right in his heart. Like he's a genuine guy. So I really appreciate him. But I'm saying that because this wasn't him that had the problem with it. It was somebody else in the congregation that had a problem with it. So there I was, little 12, 13-year-old, running around with my pubic hairs on my face. And apparently, being a kid, mind you, that was a stumbling block for somebody. Even at the time, I thought it was so ridiculous. Even my mom thought it was ridiculous. So he comes up to me after the meeting. He's like, hey, like, honestly, I don't have a problem with it. You know, you're growing up, you know, you're getting facial hair and everything, and, you know, that's cool. He's like, but somebody said something about you growing the hairs on your face, and this isn't word for word, obviously. This was years ago. I'm not going to remember anything like that word for word, but along those lines, this is what he's saying. He's like, and they notice the hair you're growing on your face, and it's stumbling them, and they want you to shave it. And I'm like, yeah. So it's that ridiculous, down to how you wear your hair, the hair on your face, how you wear your clothes. They say they don't micromanage, but they literally micromanage every piece of your life, to the point where it gets rid of individuality, and it just creates the environment for judgment. Because I was judged all the time for having my hair a little too long, or them little pubic hairs on my face. You know, I was always judged for that, and I was judged for the music I listened to, because I like metal music. I've liked metal music since I was in like 4th grade. I've loved metal music for such a long time. But to Jehovah's Witnesses and I would say many other Christian denominations too, they view metal music as demonic and evil and full of spiritism and this and that. And so that's how it's viewed. So the fact that I listened to metal music was just, I couldn't tell people. There's only a few people I can talk to that like, yeah, I listen to metal music. Of course, there were the, like I said, the cool people, the more laid back ones who didn't really care like that, who were cool with the fact that I listened to metal music. Some of them listen to metal music themselves. And those, like I said, those were the people like I would hang out with. Like those were the types of Jehovah's Witnesses I would choose to hang out with because they're not judgmental. They know it's not demonic and satanic and spiritistic and all this stuff. And that's the one thing too, is coming from a metalhead, somebody who listens to the music, who knows the music and has been listening to it for a long time, and I play the music, the music is not demonic. Like I'm not sitting there like before I decide to listen to music or play my guitar, like it's so silly. And I can tell you, neither do the bands do that create this music. Sure, I'm sure there's people out there in every genre of music who somehow do some kind of demonic ritual before they make their music or perform or something silly like that. I'm sure that exists, but the vast majority, like 99% of people don't do that shit. It's a stereotype. And I know where the stereotype comes from. I'm not an idiot. But to me, if you're going to be in such a organization, rather, that is so full of truth and love and understanding and all this stuff, why wouldn't you allow somebody... First off, how could you not understand that is the case when it comes to metal music? How could you not understand that that's the case when it comes to metal music, that it's not satanic and demonic and all this stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take... It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because, like I said, when you're a listener of the music, that's just not the case. And as it is, metalheads laugh when people stereotype them as satanic and demonic because it shows the ignorance around it. And like I said, I'm not an idiot. I understand where it comes from. I get it. But there's a difference between... But that in itself just shows that it's judgment first without any understanding. And to me, it's like, well, I would think an organization that's so focused on love and caring about people would do their utmost to put the most understanding you can possibly put into everything. But they don't, and it shows in every aspect of the cult. That's why it's a cult. You're micromanaged so that you have to fit one way, so that you are one way, so that you comply. It's a cult. That's why it's a cult. Well, that's part of the reason why it's a cult. There's no individuality. Like, and people who listen to rap music, like rap music was very frowned upon. Metal music was more frowned upon than rap music, I have to say, because there were a lot of the Bethelites, they all loved rap music. And which is funny that was more acceptable than metal music, because in rap music they're constantly talking about sex and gang shit. What Jehovah's Witness is out here doing those things? What Jehovah's Witness is out here having sex, number one. Number two, what Jehovah's Witness is doing any kind of gang shit, number two. Like, how is that more acceptable? And like, all these songs talking about, like, sex is obviously like the biggest one in rap music. I mean, come on, and hip hop. And they're all listening to it, and that's okay. For some reason, like, that's okay to listen to. But God forbid I listen to this metal song that has absolutely nothing to do with Satanism. Even if you read the lyrics, it's a metal song about love or a metal song about... Oh my God, I can go on, but I rest my case. lack of individuality. Even so, we'll move on here. I've been talking about this for a while. When it comes to how you dress too, like I said, I've always worn like a bit more tight-fitting jeans. I've worn skinny jeans, and that was frowned upon, obviously. Literally, it was just things I like. I just liked these things. I naturally liked these things. I liked more tight-fitting jeans. I liked metal music. I liked having long hair. That's just who I am. And from being a kid and not being able to do those things for absolutely no reason, well, I was doing them, but being judged for doing those things made me feel like shit. Because it's like, I'm being judged for who I am. But at the same time, I'm being told this is a place of love and truth and understanding and caring and all blah, 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 blah. Yet everyone's gossiping about each other and you're being talked about behind people's backs because of how you look, you know? And the music I listen to, like, I remember I wore a Pantera shirt to a gathering. And so this one guy, he apparently knew members of Pantera and Sepultura, and I think it was Megadeth or Slayer, Metallica. Like, he had been in like the music industry, whatever, and he's like, "Oh, who's that on your shirt? Malcolm X?" Because it was Phil Anselmo from Pantera. He's like, "Oh, who's that on your shirt? Malcolm X? Ha ha ha," making all these jokes, and then he pulls me aside later on, like, "Yeah, you know, I knew a lot of these guys, and they were so this and that," and like, he's like, "So, you know, I wouldn't be wearing that shirt if I were you." And then he goes as far as to tell my parents that he didn't like that I was wearing the Pantera shirt. And I remember once before he came over our house, and I was listening to Slipknot, and he pokes his head into the room, and he's like, "Is that Slipknot you're listening to?" And like, I thought he was like hyped at first. I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, I look over and he has this face. Like, then he tells my parents, and then my parents got on me because I'm listening to Slipknot, and they didn't like their whole image and everything. And it's like, oh, now I can't ever listen to Slipknot out loud ever again. You know, like I said in past videos, my parents were pretty lenient. They didn't like me listening to metal music, especially in the beginning, like the very, very early stages. Like I said, I liked metal at like very early on in elementary school. And I remember listening to like they hated when me and my sister would listen to Avenged Sevenfold, their album Wake in the Fallen. That was like one of my favorites back when I was a kid. And they did not like it. I mean, at one point they did not want me listening to it. Like, you can't listen to it. But I think once they realized, especially my dad, because he's a musician, so he understands. I think once they realized, like, you're not going to get me to not listen to the music I love, they just kind of gave up after a while and took the road of understanding, which good on them for doing that. Appreciate it. But you know, nobody else had was able to think that way, or able to have an open mind. And that's one thing too. There's no open-mindedness with that lack of individuality. You create that environment of judgment, which naturally leads to there's no open-mindedness. There's no open-mindedness when it comes to these things. Like I said, you have long hair as a man, you're going to be looked at a certain way. You have a beard as a man, you're going to be looked at a certain way. You listen to a certain kind of music, you're going to be looked at a certain way. All these things, you're going to be judged for it, and there's no open mind to it. There's no understanding about it. So to me, that is not love. There is no love in harsh judgment and lack of understanding. And yeah, so that was a thing that was very contradictory to me. But back on track here, because I've gotten off track. My ADHD is running amok. I just drank a full cup of coffee and I'm going. Back to the long hair thing. Let me show you a picture actually of a picture of me in the Kingdom Hall. I have to block out my family's faces. Here we go. Picture of little sad old me In the Kingdom Hall, look at me. What a piece of shit. There I was with my long hair. Wow, my short hair. What is wrong with me today? There I was with my short hair that I didn't want. Look how tired I was too, goddamn. I always look tired though, but yeah. I don't know why, I just thought I'd share that. I forgot it was there. It's just sometimes I forget it's there, and then sometimes I'll see it in the kitchen and I'm just like, I'll just be like, ugh. I remember taking that picture. It was so awkward. Like, me and my sister did not want to take that picture. Somebody just randomly came up to us and wanted to take that picture. And we're just like standing there like, yeah, cool. But yeah, I was like 17 in that picture, by the way. Yeah, what was I even on about? Oh yeah, so anyways, let's get back on track here. So I started growing my hair out in 2017, and that has been a very important thing to me. There's a bunch of little things I've done since then, but the long hair has been a very important thing to me. Why? Because, like I've been saying, it's an expression of yourself, albeit in a small way. It's just hair, whatever. But it is an expression of self that I was not able to do. And something that I was heavily judged for in one place, now it's like, I'll get compliments. People are like, wow, I really love your hair. Like, what do you do? What do you do to this and that? And in one environment, I'm like the worst person ever. Judged. People look at me. There are only people talking about me behind my back. All this BS. And then outside of that is a completely different experience. Like I said, people look at it and they admire it, and you know, just the comparison is outrageous. And yeah, it's just been in all these little ways. It was hard. It was weird at first, like growing it out, because I was growing it out too as I was making my exit. So my hair was getting like, you know, to the point where it's like, as a Jehovah's Witness, you should have it cut. Yeah, it was getting to the point where, what was I gonna say? To the point where people were starting to like, hey, your hair is getting pretty long, as in wink, wink, you should cut it. Did I even wink? I think I just blinked my eyes. I can't wink. They're like, yeah, it's getting pretty long, you should cut it. They didn't explicitly say you should cut it, but they're like, yeah, your hair's getting pretty long. Wow, look at that hair. Whoa. You know, all these hints at it. Little did they know, I'm out. But yeah, it was very weird in the beginning, because I knew my parents would look at me a certain way, because they would look, you know, now that I'm out, they're not thinking good things about me. Like, he's going to be doing all these things now. He's going to do what he wants, God forbid. Because they've known forever that I've always wanted long hair, because I would talk about it. And I would openly talk about how ridiculous I think it is that you can't have long hair. Where was I going? Sorry, I'm losing my thoughts. Yeah, it was very awkward in the beginning, because it's like those feelings of judgment and guilt were there as I'm growing it out. And I'm like, I shouldn't feel this way. You know, this is something I've always wanted. I shouldn't feel that way. Why do I feel this way? I just want to be myself. Like, you know. But after a while, I was like, I'm going to do it anyways, and I'm going to embrace it, because this is part of who I am. In a small, silly little way, but it's, you know, it's just part of who I am. So I was letting it grow, and I got to the point where I accepted it to be a part of me. I feel like it sounds so stupid to talk about, because it's something so simple, but these simple little things that you couldn't do your whole life, like finally being able to do it is like a release. It's like freedom. It's it's a new experience, and just being able to do something as simple as that, and this is just one thing, something as simple as that was like, wow. Like when it got to the point where I could fully embrace it and love it and accept it as a part of me was amazing. It's like I can be myself for once. I can be myself. And with that, it leads to more things. It's like one thing I've always been interested in, like I want my ears pierced, and I got my ears pierced. I don't have earrings in now, but I got my ears pierced. And that was something I'd wanted. And now I can dress how I want to dress without being judged. Like without people talking shit behind my back. Like it opens up to more and more things. And in the beginning, with each thing, it's awkward. It's not something you were ever allowed to do. And God forbid if you were a man and you ever pierced your ears, you would forget about it. But yeah, like doing these things one by one was a new experience in itself. And like I've said, an expression of individuality and who you are. It sounds so stupid because it's simple little things, like I said, like growing your hair or getting your ears pierced or wearing clothes. All these things it sounds stupid because they're so simple, but like when you've never been able to do these things your life and you're judged for them, but you're able to do it and you're no longer judged for it, is like a weight lifted off your chest. You feel so free. Like I can be myself, and it just it made me want to be more and more myself. Like, and yeah, that was a big thing for me when I left, was just finally being able to be myself and openly listen to the music I want to listen to without feeling like I'm being judged for it, without feeling like I'm a bad person for doing those things. Talking how I want to talk and thinking how I want to think is no longer viewed as horrible and bad, and you're a bad person for thinking like that, you're a bad person for talking like that, you're this, you're that. All these things and it led to the realization that all these things that were suppressing you, like I didn't fully realize how suppressed I was until I was finally able to be myself. And I mean, you would think that's something you would realize, you're being suppressed like that, but like I've said in past videos, when you grow up in it, that's your foundation for life. That's your foundation of how you see the world. And that's one thing too, you're always told the world will treat you. This is another part of it too. When I left, you're always told the world will eat you up and spit you out. The world is led by Satan and his demons, and it's all these evil people who don't have your best interest in mind, and they're led by Satan, and all Satan wants to do is take you out of the organization and not let you live forever, and yada yada yada. And as it is, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, none of these things ever made sense. I talk about it in past videos, but none of that ever made sense because, like I've said in those past videos, I always had my worldly friends, my friends who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses. I've had them for a long time. I've had them since middle school. I've had them since elementary school, all the way until now. And to me, those things never made sense because I lived in both worlds. I lived in the Jehovah's Witness world. It was more like, not exactly 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It was more like 3/4 in, that one little bit out. So it's like I always got a taste of everything else. So always having a taste of everything else and being in the organization was always contradictory, because you're talking all this shit about everyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness and how they're evil people and how they don't have your best interest in mind, yet none of these people judge me. None of my friends judge me. I mean, yeah, we'll make fun of each other, you know, we'll roast each other, but nobody's talking behind my back because of how I look. Nobody's talking behind my back because of the music I listen to. Nobody's talking behind my back because of how I dress. If anything, my friends encourage it. They're like, yo, if that's what you like, that's what you like, man. Like, and that's how friendship should be. That's true love and caring for your friends, is encouraging each other and being there for each other, which was not what, which was totally opposite to what it was like being a Jehovah's Witness. It's so crazy. Like, so like I said, I've always had kind of that, I won't call it 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's like I said, 3/4 in, 1/4 out. I say that because, I'm sorry, I've stuck in my head. I want to say 1 foot in, like 5 toes out, something stupid like that. I don't know why it's making me laugh. I'm stupid. Where was my train of thought? This is why I had to restart the video. But I'm not going to restart it now. We're 46 minutes in. Too late. Got to keep going. Oh, I don't remember where I was going with that. I'm sorry. Anyways, we'll stay on track here with the overall theme. So we'll move on because I'm probably ranting and going on stories and stuff anyways. Anyways, that lack of individuality was always an issue for me, and something when I got out, it was made very clear. It was made very clear to me. It just reinforced all of my doubts and questions and all the contradictories I saw. Finally leaving, being fully out, it just reinforced all of that. And that has been all of these things of self-discovery and just life discovery, realizing that not everybody is so bad. You know, not everybody is this horrible person. If anything, the most judgmental people I've ever been around were Jehovah's Witnesses. The people who gossip the most were Jehovah's Witnesses. You know, the people who were not there for your best interest, or the people who were not there for your best interest were Jehovah's Witnesses. Obviously, not all Jehovah's Witnesses are like that. That's not what I'm saying. This is my personal experience growing up. This is my personal experience being a Jehovah's Witness. I've obviously met some very cool people when I was growing up a Jehovah's Witness. But unfortunately, the majority of those Jehovah's Witnesses were very judgmental people, because that is the environment that is created. That's the environment that is created. You're all clones of each other. You all say the same things, say the same phrases, use the same words, think the same way, and it's the echo chamber of those things. And like I've said, that creates that environment of judgment. And you would think an organization, right, that is supposed to be the one true organization guided by God, God's one true organization, would be smart enough to not care about those things, would be smart enough to have understanding, would be smart enough to have unconditional love, but it's not, because it's simply not true that it's this one true organization. And we all know that. We have come to that conclusion. But yeah, so moving on. I might have to pause and get my thoughts together. Moving on. So a lot of self-discovery through just being myself. A lot of realizations, a lot of, from just being fully out. A lot of reinforcement of my doubts and questions and the contradictions I saw. All of that was, reinforced from when I was fully out. Is that the right word to use, reinforced? Well, you know what I mean. It was made apparent to me that, yes, your doubts were right. Your questions, they are now answered. And you're, yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm definitely gonna have to pause to get my thoughts together. Be right back. Alrighty, so got my thoughts together a little bit. So we're gonna get right back into it. I had to pause it because my mind is stupid sometimes. Coffee doesn't really help. Doesn't really help that much. It just, kind of makes my thoughts more scrambled. But I gotta wake up somehow, So yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll move into different areas where where leaving has given me new perspectives and new ways of seeing things. So another big thing was, this is where like the bad parts are, where I didn't know what I believed in anymore. I didn't know what I should believe in anymore because, I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. I found out all this stuff is a lie. I've always been taught this is an organization of so much love and care and all this stuff, and that's what they say. But yet, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, it is the most judgmental, gossip-filled place out there. I've never seen it more prevalent anywhere else than Kingdom Halls. And they're so focused on sex and what you're doing, and they micromanage every little aspect of your life, and and once I found out the truth about the truth, and that once I found that out, it like I said in my previous videos, it was world shattering. Like, you don't know. Now I don't know what to believe. Now I don't know if I believe in God exactly. I don't know what I should believe in. So I remember I took time for myself to just explore my beliefs, because like I said, you grow up with a belief. You grow up with a belief system. You're gonna believe it when you're growing up. But when you leave it, now what do you do? What do you believe in? That was my thing. Like, what do I believe in now? And I would stress about that. Because it's like, you feel like you have to. You feel like you have to believe in something. If there's nothing, then what? Like, oh my God, what do I do? So, So like I said, I took a lot of time for myself to explore that. To explore what do I believe. And I remember just listening to so many different podcasts, getting all kinds of points of views on things, listening to other Christians, listening to atheists, listening to agnostics, listening to people who are Buddhists, listening to like so many different... I explored like everything. And what it ultimately came down to is, I kind of went through stages of it. I got to the point where, I believe in God, but I don't believe in the Jehovah's Witness version of it, obviously. I believe in God and whatnot. And I'm trying to remember exactly everything. Like, I believe in God, but I don't even want to take to any specific Christian denominations, because, from exploring everything, you realize, and mind you, I have nothing against anybody who is a Christian. If you believe in Christianity and the Christian version of God, whatever your denomination is, that's fine. I don't care. I have friends who are Christians. I have friends who believe in the Christian God. Like, that's fine. You don't have to believe the same thing as other people. That's another thing that really, just real quick, I promise I'll stay on track. That's another thing that was, that I was able to see and experience while being fully out of the Jehovah's Witness organization, is you can be friends with people no matter what it is they believe in. They can believe in the most far out wacky stuff ever, that like aliens live underground, and you can still be friends with that person. You can be friends with people from all kinds of religions and belief systems, and that's okay. Like, they're not here to judge you. You're not here to judge them. You're there to coexist and have fun and be people and exist together. And that's okay. But in the Jehovah's Witness religion, that does not fly because it's a cult. So yeah, that being said, I wish I can go off on small little tangents like that and come back to what I just said, because it's so hard for me to do. Anyways, I was wondering, I was trying to figure out what to believe, because it was very important to me at the time, because my whole life I believed in Jehovah's Witnessism growing up. I know that's not the word, I'm just calling it Jehovah's Witnessism because I like being sarcastic and stupid, and I like to make myself laugh, deal with it. Anyways, yeah, so I was debating whether or not I believe in God. So I was looking everywhere for evidence of God, and I was praying to God to help me. I wasn't praying to God to help me believe he's real. I was praying to God to guide me to evidence to believe you exist. If you exist and you truly love everybody and everything, how you are described in all of these holy books, all of these ancient holy books, then guide me in some sort of direction. Guide me in some sort of direction to whether or not, like, whatever direction that is, guide me in that direction. What are you? Like, what I didn't know, because I've only had this one version of God growing up, and it's the Jehovah's Witness version. And there's so many other different versions of God and what people think God is. And, you know, so it got to the point where I just believed in God, but I don't believe in religious organizations. Then it started going down the more atheistic path, because there was too much overwhelming evidence that as far as the Christian God goes, and this is just my opinion, if you believe in God, that's totally fine. I respect you. That's fine. We can have different beliefs and coexist. And if you don't have to continue watching. But anyways, I went down the more atheistic route. And well, this time I was going back and forth between atheistic and agnostic, because there was just too much evidence when it comes to stuff like evolution. I explored way more into evolution, and it's something I became obsessed with and fascinated with, because I just loved science and history. And yeah, I've loved science and history growing up, and too much overwhelming evidence of evolution, and not just when it comes to humans, but when it comes to how we evolved from apes to humans, all the different animals, plant life, and how evolutionary psychology and the only way certain medications work is through evolutionary study. There was just too much overwhelming evidence of evolution. That's not to say that, this is why I was also agnostic too, that not everything was created to be that way, because you would think a God would create, if you were to create beings on an earth that's always changing, you would create those things to constantly be adapting to the new environments that happen. So just because you believe in evolution doesn't mean you don't have to believe in God. And that was like my point of view back then. And ultimately what it led up to now, I would say, is I don't really know. And I'm okay with not knowing. I'm very much okay with not knowing whether there is a God out there or not. I'm okay with that, because I don't have to know. I don't have to know 100%. I don't have to know 100% what's going to happen when I die. I don't, because it was things I would stress about, And now it's, like I said, I don't really know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. What I will say is I am spiritual in a sense. I'm not full atheist. I'm not full agnostic. I'm not trying to put a label on it, because when you put a label on it, it just kind of gives one statement about who you are. I'm willing to be convinced. Pretty much, I'm willing to be convinced of something if there's enough evidence, there's enough data to prove that to me. If you can do that for me, and it's overwhelming, better yet, if it's something that's overwhelming and something I can experience on top of that, then yeah, I'm gonna believe it, because I have no reason not to. That is after doing all the research and all that stuff. Yeah, that's where I am now when it comes to literally everything in life. Not just if I believe in a God or not. That's just with everything in life. I question everything, and that has become a huge part of me, is just questioning everything and always wanting to learn, because Jehovah's Witnesses, they always had all the answers for everything. No matter what question you had, they always had an answer for everything. And even if they didn't have an answer for everything, they had an answer for not having an answer. So for example, it's like, we might not know now, but in due time, we'll know the answer, because look at this that we didn't know the answer to, and now we have the answer to, and this. So we can only have that reassurance that in time we'll know the answer to yada, yada, yada. But this is the thing that always I had an issue with too, is the answer. If you're not satisfied with that answer, you can't question the answer. And they'll say all day you can question, but you can only ask certain questions. So, I'm trying to think of like an example I can use for that. But hopefully I'll think of one as I explain. But so if you have a problem with, for example, if you have a problem with the way they are, I use this as an example in one of my previous videos, because this is something I've always had a problem with, is with how they link Bible verses to what they're trying to convince you of. I mean, you can tell I'm a person that gets very distracted. I have ADHD. I've said that in like every video. I'm sorry for harping on that. But I'm a very distracted person. I'm very aware of that. And I make it known to people, so people think sometimes that I'm not paying attention to them or I'm not listening to them. But I am, but I'm very distracted at all times. So it's a little hard for me to. So anyways, when they would read Bible verses and trying to link it to something in the magazine or something in the book that we were studying, or whatever it may be that they're trying to link this Bible verse to, a point they're trying to make, or a teaching, or trying to convince me of something, my distracted ass would read, and it would like catch my interest, and I'm like, wow. And I would just I'll keep going and going and going and reading through the chapter and go through the next chapter. I would just keep going. And before you know it, we're like 3 paragraphs later, and I'm like, oh, I've been reading this whole time. But from doing that, you come to I came to the realization that like a lot of, like when you read it in the context of the chapter and what it's talking about, it has nothing to do with what you're trying to convince me of. And you're taking this one verse and you're taking this one verse and linking it to something you're trying to tell me, but it has nothing to do with what is written here. And that's, I had a problem with that. It wasn't really something that was like a glaring problem, surprisingly, but I questioned that. And the times where it would happen, I started reading, like I would read the whole chapter just out of curiosity, and because I wanted to. Sometimes they would link the Bible verse to a point they're trying to make, and I would be interested in that point they're trying to make, and I'll read the chapter, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with what you're telling me, though. I don't know how you're drawing that conclusion. Like, I don't understand that. I don't get that. But that was something I did. For some reason, it wasn't like a wild concern for me at the time. I don't know why, because that should be a glaring concern. But for whatever reason, that wasn't a concern. But after I got out, though, when I started watching Jehovah's Witness videos and stuff, and people would say the same thing, like, if you read around the verse, it has nothing to do with what they're saying. And I'm like, yeah, that's so right, because I've literally done that while sitting in the Kingdom Hall. But anyways, back to beliefs. Don't know where I left off again. I'm so sorry. Now I don't exactly know 100% what I believe, and that's okay. I'm okay with never knowing for the rest of my life. However, I do have, not that this is important, but this is just me and what life has led me to. I do have my own spirituality. Spirituality is a very blanket statement nowadays. You can use it for many things, and I'm using it as such. But so my spirituality is through experience, because to me that is the best way of knowing. Experience and data. So, for example, what is described in it's very complicated. Mind you, this is just me. This is just me, and I'll never hold these beliefs to my death. So it is described in science that there is a religious belief. Like things can, what's it called? I'm so bad with words. Jesus. Things can, we'll just use the word inspire for now because I can't think of the right word. It's like on the tip of my tongue, but I don't know it. Things can inspire the religious experience. So, for example, music can inspire what is called the religious experience. Dancing can inspire the religious experience. All art forms, even as something like martial arts, can inspire this religious experience that you have, because people see the religious or the spiritual experience, or just the spiritual in general, as very specific ways, being like going to church and praying and stuff like that. Praying to, some people see spirituality only as Christianity. Some people only see spirituality only as insert religious denomination here. Some people have, their definitions of it, because spirituality is a very blanket statement used nowadays. I don't even know if that's the right phrase to use, but regardless, it's a word that is heavily used nowadays to describe this very indescribable experience. And I think spirituality is a very important thing. I think it's a very important thing. And for me, how I connect spiritually to myself is heavily through music and meditation, which is funny because in the last video I was talking about how meditation is completely separate from a spiritual practice. But I want to just say so I'm not contradicting myself. Like I've said, meditation in itself, the practice, is not in the sense that people think, where it's tied down specifically to a religion, because there's plenty of atheists, like I said, who practice meditation, and atheists don't believe in God. They don't believe in the supernatural, They believe a lot of them believe in just the science. What does the data say? What does the evidence show me? And I don't think that's a wrong way to think. I think that's a very rational way to think. That's just my opinion. I don't agree with every little thing atheists say, but that's okay. We don't ever have to agree with everything everybody says. I can't stress that enough. That's okay. That's totally okay. But because I heavily agree with so many things atheists say, but I also heavily agree with so many things agnostics say, and I also heavily agree with a lot of things like people from Christianity say. I agree with a lot of things from all sides. That's why like I can't really put a label on myself of being one or the other. So I'm kind of like, I just do what works for me. And when I found, like, from just doing research, finding out what that religious experience is, what that is, because that's a real feeling, that's a real experience people have when they go to church. But that same experience is emulated when you listen to music. That same experience is emulated when you dance, when you paint art, when you draw art, when you do martial arts. And it's all the same thing. It's all this certain experience that you have. And that's why I say I consider myself a spiritual person, unless it doesn't fit your definition, then whatever, but I consider myself that. And like I said, for me, it's music and meditation, because those things connect me to myself and the world around me and everything around me. Those things connect me with it. And I want to explore, there's still so much to be learned. I want to explore other places of spirit, other things that inspire this experience, that create this experience, because there's so much you can do. And even psychedelics. I talked about psychedelics in my last one. Psychedelics is a big one for me, be it DMT or magic mushrooms. Those also bring forth that same exact experience. Not the same exact experience per se, but it's the same reaction that happens within you when you have said religious experience. That's what it's labeled as in science, they call it the religious experience. And all those things that I named off bring forth that experience. So, but those are just the few ways I do it. I won't get into it like crazy. We're an hour, 12 minutes in. I won't get into it like crazy, but for me, yeah, that's where I'm at now. And I'm just open to learning new things. I'm very, very open to learning new things. I want to know more. I want to explore more. Whatever information I can take in, I'll take it in, because I'm willing to learn. That's just kind of where I'm at. Well, that's exactly where I'm at, I should say, when it comes to it. And I'm very satisfied with that and very happy with that, because I'm not stressing about what do I believe in. I'm not stressing about whether or not it's true or not. I'm not stressing about the end of the world. I'm not stressing about God killing me, It's very open. It's very, nobody has all the answers. People can convince you all day that they have the answers, but nobody has all the answers. And that's just how it is. We find out things through time. Time reveals everything. We find everything out through time. I mean, as we go through time, more and more things are discovered, more and more things are found out. There's more to learn. Just the knowledge is endless. So how could you ever be 100% sure on so many things? And for me personally, coming to that realization and understanding has been so freeing. I don't have to worry. There's nothing to attach myself to. And there's no need to. There shouldn't be a need to, in my opinion, to attach yourself to things with your life, We're just here. We're here figuring it out as we go. And if you think you have all the answers, then good on you. You've got it figured out. Me, I don't have all the answers. I don't know. I'm okay with that. I want to learn as much as I can. But yeah, that's pretty much where I stand now. And that's basically been life outside of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Was a lot of self-discovery, coming to a lot of epiphanies, and one thing too has been like the disconnect I've had from the JW realm to the real world has been so crazy. Like I've in just 4 years, I've forgotten so much when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses. I've forgotten so much. Like it's crazy how much I've forgotten. Yeah, which to me that has been a good thing because yeah, from being like it shows me how like disconnected I've become from that. And that shows me how far I've gotten in such a short amount of time. Like things that I used to be able to remember like so easily, I'm just like, that doesn't even like come to my mind anymore. I had to really, really dig deep and think about that one. But I love that disconnect because I'm so far from it. It makes me happy. I'm like, yes, like, you know, the farther away my mind gets from it, the farther away I can separate how I've grown up from that, the farther away I naturally get from that, the better. Because it's like it's more reassurance that I'm doing better. I'm improving in life. I'm, you know, because that's my goal. My goal is to disconnect and become the greatest version of myself. And because being so connected to that, you know, came with all the anxieties, all the fears of judgment, just the fear in general, but the fears of judgment, the lack of individuality, the lack of self, the lack of self-love, the lack of unconditional love, the lack of truth, the lack of just simply caring about other people and caring about children especially. Like disconnecting from that has been nothing but beneficial for me. It's been a weird adventure. It's been a whole weird process because things have been so awkward, and I'll get into more of this in other videos, but I like to do a very general video and get into like specifics in different videos. I feel like that's really that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to do that, and I hope I can do that properly. Because there's still more I want to talk about when it comes to leaving, because there's still so many other things in different areas. But I just don't think people want to listen to such long videos of me just talking about my life. Unless people do, but I don't think people want to. So I'd rather just do it in separately. But yeah, it's been a wild adventure for sure, and it's been a very weird one, like I said, an exciting one, but an also very, you know, there's been the good times, but there's also been the bad times. There's plenty more bad to get into too. But overall, I would say generally, since I've left, I have done better. I've done so much better for myself, and it is the best decision I have ever made was leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses behind, leaving that disgusting cult behind. My life has been so much better, and I'm like so grateful for that and thankful for that, because it's like I felt so stuck at one point in life. There was at one point in life where I just felt so stuck, and it's like how I couldn't feel like I could leave, and not having that feeling of being stuck anymore, and just living life so freely, and knowing that you can have an open mind about whatever you damn well feel about having an open mind about, and just the variety of people you meet all over the world. I mean, I haven't been all over the world, but I've been all over North America, but regardless, the variety of people you meet, and I meet in my area where I live, as opposed to like the times I've traveled, that has been amazing too. Such an eye-opener on how beautiful people really can be, because you're taught that everyone's evil, and it's just not like that when you see things for yourself. Experiment and go out there and, you know, and just all of this has been so transformative, and it's a growing process that will just never stop. I'm always going to be growing and always going to be learning and finding out things and all this stuff. And it's so exciting. It's crazy. It's amazing. It's so many things. And it showed me just how beautiful and endless life really is. Like, there's so much to do. There's so much to be discovered. There's so many places to go outside of your comfort zone. And yeah, life is beautiful. And of course, it's got its moments where it's tough and it's hard. But for me, I see it as that's the balance of life. You can't have the good without the bad. And that's just part of how I see things. And for me, it helps me. And that's all that matters, is if it's helping me. If it makes sense to me. Well, not exactly if it makes sense to me, because we all remember what happened last time we were convinced of something just because it made sense to us. We became a Jehovah's Witness. Not me anyways, I was born in, so I can't say I became one, but you know what I mean. The things that make sense to me, that help me, and for me in that way, it has done nothing but good things for me. It has done nothing but bring more positivity into my life. Like I said, life has its bad moments. You're going to have those downs. You're going to have those very tough downs where sometimes you feel like you've hit rock bottom. But that's the balance of life. You're going to have the good and the bad. And that's also another thing too that I've come to accept, is the bad things in life. Because as Jehovah's Witness, you live in this protective bubble, and you always are living for the day when there's going to be no more pain and suffering and death and war and famine and all these crazy, horrific things that happen in the world. And, albeit, yeah, those things are crazy and horrific. There's some pretty evil shit that happens in the world. Evil stuff to where it's like, when I think about it, it's hard to think about because it's so evil. The things I've heard of, and I'm sure all the things we've heard of that have happened, maybe even things that have been done to us, it's an evil place. And for myself, coping with that has been just how I view it. And this goes back to the spirituality thing a little bit. I'm never going to be fully upfront with how I am spiritually. You can just have a fun time guessing about that. But unless I do decide to reveal it later on, then whatever. Because to me, it's my own personal thing. Like, I don't feel like I have to really explain to anybody what that is. But to me, what I'm about to say goes along with that spirituality thing of myself I was talking about, is balance in life is good and evil, and you cannot have the good without the evil. And that is something that has helped me cope with the evil that happens in life. Because there are some horrible things out there. There's some really horrible things out there. I mean, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, obviously. Everyone knows. But if you're somebody like me where things like that really can get to you sometimes, just how horrible people can be, it's like, damn, I know there's bad people out there, but how could you do something like this, But I just see it as a balance and the ebbs and flows of life, I guess, to put it more poetically. Yeah, just the balance of life. I mean, life consumes itself. You go into nature and everything is constantly killing each other. There's death all around you at all times. That's just life. I mean, plants kill each other. There's vines that wrap themselves around trees to constrict them. There's entire plant life that kills trees by shielding it from getting enough sunlight. Let alone animals. We all know what animals do. They eat each other, And, you know, even animals that are herbivores, they're killing plants by eating the plants. You know, there's death all around you at all times, in every form and in every place. And it's just, like I said, a way that helps me just understand that, put aside good and evil, just life and death is just a part of existence, of being. And that has helped me, because that's how I see things. And, you know, not everybody sees things the same way, and that's okay. There's other ways of seeing things, there's other ways of living that helps other people deal with everything in life. But, you know, but that's just me. Like I said, the whole point of this video is me and my personal experiences and what I've gone through and where it's led me today, where it's led me to be today. So, yeah, I think that's really all I have to say on this. So, I think anyways. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about any of this. So, thank you for watching. And, again, I'm glad for everybody I'm glad to seeing all the comments and the subscribers, because that's showing me, like I said, that people actually like to see that I'm putting out content. Whether you agree with me or not, that's okay. Other than, recently there's this one person, no, I don't want to call him out. Because I don't care if people disagree with me, honestly, but when you're going to defend something like child abuse, I gotta, you know. But anyways, so I expect there's going to be more of that. I expect there's going to be more, you know, there's going to be the good, you know, encouraging people and people that can relate and all that. But I'm expecting there's definitely going to be more of those too, the people who are trying as hard as they can to defend, all while saying they're not defending. You know, I expect that too. But yeah, it's open. We can talk about whatever we want here, and that's cool. And I read all the comments, I do, and I try to reply to every single one of them. You know, I try my best to reply to every single one of them, and I always see them. I always go through them whenever I get one. And yeah, if you like this video, then give it a like. If you dislike it, and tell me why you don't like it. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say, and sayonara.